Oh, Summer League. Summer League here in Las Vegas. This is my second time being here, and I'm going to go through my favorite things so far. We're day 4 throughout so far, and I'm going to dive into some main things I like on the court, some main players, some not so main players, who the crowd are going crazy for over here. You probably guess some of it. Maybe you wouldn't guess some of the other players, but I'm going to dive into all that. I'm sitting here in Las Vegas in my hotel room. I've got some downtime. I'm here for work, covering NBL, all things Australian basketball, and hell, even New Zealand basketball, but NBL connections. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about some favourite things in general from Summer League. And Vegas is it's just such a funny place to be in, for good and bad. It really, I think you have to be a certain type to, live here. I've always wondered what type of people live here properly. Maybe I'm just out of the loop. Maybe it's more quote unquote normal than I realized. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I'm always fascinated to see the people that live here and what they think of the weather, the lifestyle, the tourism aspects, all that stuff. Enough of that. I'm going to talk about basketball. Basketball is what I'm here for. And there's so much stuff happening. You walk through hotels and you just see so many players to your left and your right. You swing by them. And I've got to say, there's something funny about seeing players in person. Like, I've spent years looking at these players on screen, these coaches on screen, digital versions of themselves. You look at them in person and you see them super close. I was sitting next to Cason Wallace yesterday or the day before. Just me and him basically sitting there. He was sitting, I was standing, but I was shooting photos from that location, and he's just there. He's almost just like a fan. He's almost like the rest of us, and you just look over to him. They look like they do on screen, but they also look slightly off. I don't know if I'm explaining that well or anyone can resonate with that type of thing, but the players in person look unique. Anyway, super cool who you bump into, whether it's in a hotel or players. But I'm going to not even quickly, let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy the process, but name some things, some favorite things about Vegas, about Summer League, and then dive into some moments from players as well. Day 4, so there's plenty of days left. I think it's an 11-day event, so we're not even halfway through. If my maths is mathing, 4 days, but there's still plenty going on. Number 1, Hoops Haven. I just mentioned this. It's basically a Hoops Haven for anyone that likes basketball. Players, coaches, influencers. It's a good word these days. Online personalities, they're everywhere. You just look around. Kids are going crazy over some like YouTube people, TikTok people, and you're like, who is that? And then sometimes you know them, sometimes you don't. But it's pretty crazy. And then from those types of people to the NBA players. The NBA players are always rocking up next to if their team's playing, they'll support them, they'll sit next to each other, they'll get that classic photo. LeBron arrived yesterday, the crowd went nuts. Actually, that's a great segue. I was going to go through the biggest crowd roars for different players. The crowd went absolutely nuts, and you're going to guess Bronny James is on this list because for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, but clearly they love Bronny because he's LeBron's son. And I was looking at Bronny. If he was just a regular prospect in the terms of he didn't have the James name, he wasn't LeBron's son, he looks good. His frame's like built. Like if I could ever get to that level of builtness, I'd be happy with myself because he's built for an 18, 19-year-old, whatever he is. Obviously having the James name will hinder you. It could help you, but it places a hell of a lot of pressure on you. So I feel for that young man because you're just going to cop it no matter what. But I'm actually impressed that the Summer League crowd and NBA crowds really do get around him because that place, it does not get louder, maybe for a name coming up shortly, but in the midst of it, like overall, it doesn't get louder than when Bronny James touches the ball. That leads me to Bronny versus Cooper Flagg. That was like the day 1 matchup, I'm pretty sure it was, or it might have been day 2, but it was the first matchup where the crowd really flocked in. It went crazy. I was lucky enough to shoot it, got some time to actually go down to courtside and shoot that game, got some cool photos and everything of that matchup. Just fascinating. The next one on the list, Hansen Yang, Chinese sensation, Chinese big man. He was the guy that Portland drafted at 15 or 16, whatever it was, and someone called him like the Chinese Jokic. Hell of a statement. But he's got serious game, and I'm going to touch on that more later. But tell you what, I'm talking about Bronny when he comes in. Hansen Yang, when he comes in, when he plays. That first Portland game, I was there. I wasn't there for last night's game, which was his second, but they go nuts over that young man. And he's got a lot of skill. It's not just like the hype for the sake of hyping him or choosing someone because he's representing all of China, that type of thing. Really cool. And he seems like a. I was describing it to someone the other day. His personality is almost like cheeky. I know that sounds funny, but he seems to have fun out there. He seems to have a good laugh. He seems like he's aggressive, and he seems to almost get under the skin of the opposition. So we love that. Next on the biggest crowd was Cooper Flag versus Dylan Harper. We finally got to see Dylan Harper, second overall pick for the Spurs. He had not been playing due to a hamstring, I think. That game was crazy. I only got there half time, but seeing that half, the crowds are just, it's crazy how different Summer League looks in a setting like that in terms of who's playing. You can rock up and I think the crowds will eventually sort of ease up from here because it's the weekend, and obviously the weekend is when you get more people. But during maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, it's probably going to be pretty quiet. It's amazing the comparison between that and then like a Saturday when the number 1 pick and the number 2 pick are playing off against each other. And I'm happy to report that I reckon the Cooper versus Harper matchup was bigger buzz than Bronny versus Flag, which I just like. There's something about like a pure basketball standpoint that should draw more of a crowd than just because he's LeBron James' son. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that makes sense, and I think the crowd did well. Lastly, anytime Bronny plays, I already mentioned this, the crowd goes crazy, and he's good. He shows signs. He started better than Cooper Flag when those two played against each other. This is a unique one. CJ Miles. If you recall, CJ Miles, left-hand shooter, played for Utah many moons ago, played for Cleveland, I think. This is an interesting discussion about veterans that kind of go from team to team. Who do you think about when you think about CJ Miles? Like, what team? My mind goes to Utah. I'm just going to do a quick Google. I wonder who he actually spent most of his career with. Because my mind goes to Utah. But then he's one of those guys that kind of popped up on everywhere. You just Google image search him. Wizards, Indiana, Raptors, Memphis. Indiana, I already said that. It's fascinating. Anyway, I think of him as a Jazz man. Cleveland with Kyrie. Cleveland with LeBron. These veterans are quite amusing. Anyway, long story, I really got distracted there, but long story short, he has turned into a photographer, just like me roaming around baseline trying to get capture some best photos of the Summer League, and I find that really cool. That we talk about what people do after their careers, what do they do when they retire. How many NBA players go from NBA player, like legit NBA player, to NBA photographer? I think that's really cool. He posted some stuff on Twitter and he's good. He's clearly got an eye for it. He clearly understands the game. I just find that story really cool. That he seems like a pretty quiet dude as well. Don't know if I've got that wrong, but he just kind of goes around the traps. He's not super vocal in terms of, some people, they're celebrities. They go around the ground talking to everyone, saying hello to everyone, but he seems pretty chill. And I just love the fact that he's owning it. He's carrying 2 cameras around. He looks like the rest of us. I wonder if he gets different access, by the way. Maybe not. It's almost like a random story of Summer League, but I really like that. Anyway, let's dive into specific players. Carter Bryant. Now, Carter Bryant is the Spurs rookie, and if you look at his defensive efforts, I'm just sold on his efforts alone, based off 2 clips, essentially. Based off 2 clips in his first game, and it's Summer League. Let me reiterate, Summer League is a spot where it's pretty much, guard heavy, offensive heavy. In terms of guards, we'll just dribble the wind out of the ball or whatever. There's too much dribbling in ISO ball. It's all about getting your own, scoring, trying to make a name for yourself that way. It's not exactly good for big men, but Carter Bryant is bringing defense to Summer League. He's competing, and what was it? I think his second game was against Cooper Flag. Obviously, being the number 1 pick, you're going to be amped up to guard him. I wish I saw all of it yesterday, but I saw clips online and I saw the second half, and he was great. But there's 2 clips online circulating about his defensive efforts, and it's just awesome. I didn't know too much about, Carter Bryant before that, but once I've seen his defensive efforts, I'm completely sold. That brings me into Flag, his competitiveness, his aggression. I'm just going to be a fan of his from day one, purely from the competitive nature of him. Forget the offensive talent. Forget the profile of him. The fact that he just competes and he gets after it and he's not too emotional really makes you like the guy. I'm going to like him from day one from that. In a different kind of competitive way, Walter Clayton. Now, he's on my Utah squad, so I'm kind of biased, but there's something fascinating. There's actually 2 guys on this list. that I'm going to go through. Walter Clayton and Yakachonis for Miami, both rookies, but their calm demeanor really gets me. I'm always like so intrigued how people who, they're guards, like point guards who cop a lot of pressure, they have to handle the rock a lot, how they keep their composure so well in such an environment. And even summer league, like people are going after you because you're high picks. People are going after you because they have to make a name for themselves and this might be their last chance to make a roster. I'm always so impressed at the players that just like keep a cool, calm and collective attitude about it. Like their demeanor is so low in terms of they're never going over the top. They're never shouting really unless it's like hyping up teammates. They're never emotional in the wrong way. And that's super impressive to me. Not to mention they're just really good basketball players as well. Yakachonis kind of struggled in game one, but he bounced back really well. He was kind of like a highlight of Miami's... Yeah, it's probably the second game for them. Just smooth operators. And Walter Clayton, you can tell that guy just knows how to play. Jazz have got a very good one. Ace Bailey didn't play. Some hip flexor or something, so I'm really hoping to see him play as well. Last two. Hugo Gonzalez, you might ask who? Boston Celtics rookie. Now, that was a while ago. I was researching into him. You just look at prospects for different reasons. Sometimes it's to do with work. Sometimes it's to do with your own interests. Whatever it is. The first thing that stood out to me about Hugo Gonzalez, maybe a year ago when I started looking into him, was his intensity. That man just competed. And I was kind of almost sold. Again, similar to Carter Bryant. You get a first impression of these guys. And if it's defense, if it's effort, especially for me, those two elements just make me really into a prospect. And Hugo Gonzalez's intensity was kind of just like, it felt leaps and bounds above everyone else on the floor for whatever Euro sort of games he was playing in. I love that. And then you add on top of it his skill, his shooting. I think that's might be a question mark. Again, you can tell I don't know a heap about his game, but the fact that his intensity is up there, he competes, he battles. He played his first game with Boston in the Summer League. He's playing his second one today. We'll see how he goes. And people, there was actually a viral clip, a mid-game interview of his where he was just so locked in. These answers were kind of like rushed. They were kind of just like straight to the point. The reporter probably couldn't get much of it out of him, but the fact that it went viral was because he was just so locked in, and you could tell how intense he was even in interviews, which I loved. I already touched about Hansen Yang a bit, but he is legit game. I know people they love sort of like the quirky, the characters that are different. Whether your background's different, you're taller than some other players, your skill set is different than the other players. For whatever reason, people become fan favorites, and Hansen Yang has become that immediately. But if you actually look beyond the difference to him, the skill set is absolutely there, and it's actually quite fascinating how good he can become. And sometimes all that hype can like overshadow how good of a basketball player he actually is or could become. And I think that's really exciting. So Hansen Yang, he's played 2 games so far. He's had some great moments. You hear people already like hyping him up around the courts especially. And once again, if there was what's the audio level reading? Whatever. I'd love to know whether the crowd's hype loudest for him, Cooper Flagg, or Bronny. If I was to go 1, 2, 3, I reckon... You know what? I'd almost reckon... I wasn't there yesterday, but there's a few dunks that Hansen Yang got. I reckon the crowd would have been up and about for that. I would almost rank... Oh, jeez. I'd rank Hansen number 1 in terms of crowd volume. Number 2, for whatever reason, people just love Bronny. He did it like actually, it was a really nice dunk in warm-ups, but the crowd loved it. Maybe Cooper's first few possessions, or when he actually attempted a really nice dunk over someone yesterday. Crowd was going crazy for that, even though he missed. But if I had to rank the crowd volume, it would probably be Hansen, Bronny, Cooper. Make of that what you will. Anyway, some leagues are fascinating space. That's it for this one. I just enjoy going through some of my favourite topics, but you just got to enjoy it as well. I know it's easy to get sort of, if you're at the gym every day to watch basketball, but at the end of the day, it's pretty damn cool that you get to see these players in person, especially for someone like me. I'm from Australia. You fly 13, 14, 15 hours, whatever it is, to see these guys in person in Vegas, and it's really quite cool. So I'm going to leave it there.